Hey guys, my name is Deb Marnie and I'm from Aussie Mail, and this is our chainmail tutorial channel. Hey guys, big hi, hello, welcome, how are you? Thanks for popping in and spending some time with me. It's really great to see you. So today I've got a weave tutorial. Now this was one I thought I'd already done, but when I went back and had a look at our channel here, I couldn't find it. So anyway, today I'm going to do ocean waves for you. All right guys, let's get started. Okay guys, so I've got some sample pieces of ocean waves made up here for you. Coming up here on the side will be the ring sizes that I used to make up these pieces. They'll also be listed down in the description section, but to run through it quickly for you now. So this one over here, the 14 gauge AWG version, 1.6mm diameter wire. The bright aluminium rings, the silver ones here, were 9.5mm ID, and the anodized rings are 1/4 of an inch or 6.35mm. The 16 gauge version, 1.2mm diameter wire. The bright aluminium rings are 7mm and the inside rings are 3/16 of an inch or 4.76mm. The 18 gauge AWG version, 1mm diameter wire. The bright aluminium rings are 6mm ID and the coloured rings are 5/32 of an inch or 3.97mm. And lastly, the 20 gauge version, 0.8mm diameter wire. Ring ID on the silver rings is 4.75mm and the coloured rings are 1/8 of an inch or 3.18mm. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate this to you today in the 14 gauge AWG version. So to start with, take up one of your large rings and pop on 3 of the smaller rings. Now you can pre-close those smaller rings if you like in advance, or you can just do what I've done and pop them on straight away and we'll close them up in a minute. So take up another bright aluminium ring and feed it through the same 3 rings, so we're doubling our BA rings up. And then I'm just going to go in and close up those aluminium, the anodized rings now. Okay, and the last one. There we go. Now I'm going to grab a twist tie and feed it through the silver rings. If you don't have a twist tie, a piece of scrap wire, if you've got it, paper clip, something just to hang on to. It's not 100% necessary, so if you don't have it, don't worry about it. It's just makes everything a little bit easier to start with. Alright, so I've got my rings looking like this at the moment. And holding it in this position, I'm going to take up another bright aluminium ring and I'm going to feed this up through the bottom of my anodized rings, like that. And then I'm going to put it through my bright aluminium rings as well. Okay, and close it up. So your work looks like this. So you can see it's gone through the anodized rings and through all the bright aluminium rings. I'm going to double that ring up. Just place a second ring through the same path, through all the anodized rings and then through the BA rings. Okay, and your work looks like this. Now I'm going to show you the next step. You don't have to do this one right now, but I'm just going to show you it now and then give you the option of doing it later on as well. So what we're going to do now is put an orbiting ring around our anodized rings there. So to do that, I'm going to come down through my second pair of bright aluminium rings, just like that. And then come back up through the first pair of BA rings. Now it doesn't really matter what order you do it in, as long as you go through both sets of rings like that. And then when you straighten it all out, you can see that that ring orbits the coloured rings there, okay? So it's just going through the 2 pairs of bright aluminium rings, orbiting that centre connection. Okay, so our next step then is to just continue on the chain. So we grab one of our BA rings. Again, we're going to pop on these coloured rings. Now remember, you can pre-close these coloured rings if that's how you prefer your workflow to be. That's great. Put that bright aluminium ring through the end pair of rings in your weave. Close it up. And then you're going to double that ring up. Okay. Now, because I didn't pre-close my coloured rings, I'm going to go ahead and close them now. As I said, guys, you do whatever works best for your workflow. You can pre-close all of them in advance or do it as you go along. Okay, so I've got my work looking like this, holding it so that my bright aluminium rings that I just added are facing towards us. The flat is facing towards us. Our coloured rings, their edges are facing towards us. I'm going to take up another bright aluminium ring, and I'm going to do what I did previously. I'm going to come up through the bottom of my coloured rings, holding my work like this, and then I'm also going to put that ring through my 2 silver rings. Close that up, and then I'm going to double that ring up. Okay, straight through the coloured rings, up through the bright aluminium rings, and close it up. And your work should look like this. Now at this stage you can add that orbiting ring like I did before, or you can choose to just make the chain the length that you need it to be and come back and do that orbiting ring later. So I'm just going to do the orbiting ring. I'm going to do one more section and then go back and do the orbiting ring just to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to pop on 3 more of my coloured rings. Go through that last pair of rings there. Close it up. Double that silver ring. Okay, I'm now going to go and close my coloured rings. Okay, and then holding my work so that those new rings are facing in the same direction as the previous ones. I'm going to take up another bright aluminium ring. I'm going to come up through the bottom of my anodized rings and then go through those bright aluminium rings as well. Close that up. Repeat with a second ring. Through the same path, through the anodized rings, through the silver rings. Okay, so you can keep doing that for the length that you require, and then you can come back and add the orbiting rings. I like to at least add the first orbiting ring. It locks the weave into place, gives it perspective, so that your subsequent rings are all following the same pattern. And then I just leave it and I come back and add the orbiting rings later. So to add the orbiting rings later, it's no different. You just go through the second set of rings, up through the first set of rings in that pair, and then close it up. It looks like that. And then you can go down to the next one that needs the orbiting ring, go through that second set, up through the first set, and close it up. Okay, and that's basically it, guys. That's Ocean Waves. It's not a particularly tricky weave to do, but I feel it's quite an effective looking weave. So I'll just go through those steps again for you. I'm popping on my coloured rings. I'm going through the last pair of bright aluminium rings in my weave. Close that, and I'm going to double it. Okay, now because I didn't pre-close my rings, I'm going to go in and do that now. Okay, then I'm going to grab another bright aluminium ring, come up through the bottom of my colour rings, through both of the bright aluminium rings already in weave, close it up, feed a second large bright aluminium ring through there, so my work looks like this. Now I just need to add the orbiting ring. Just going to go down through the second of the pair of rings, up through the first pair of rings, close it up, and your work should look like that. And that's it, guys. That's all there is to it. So just keep doing those steps until you reach the length that you require. As I said, you can make the chain up, the middle chain up all the way along and then come back and do the orbiting rings, or you can do the orbiting rings as you go. Totally up to you, whatever works best for your workflow. Like I said, I like to do the first orbiting ring, just give me a perspective, something to look back on, and then I just generally make up the rest of the chain and come back and do the orbiting rings later. But that's it. Ocean Waves. Alright guys, well that's it. That is the video tutorial today. I hope you liked it. It was helpful to you. It's been a long time coming, but it's here now. If you did like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up here on YouTube. Share the video. If you have any questions or comments, leave that down below in the comments section. While you're here, if you're not a subscriber, you might consider doing that for us. Check out some of our other content. There's a lot here for you. And last but not least, guys, don't forget to give our shop link up here in the corner a little bit of love and affection. That's where you'll find all the bits and bobs and thingamajigs you're going to need to make up this weave and many of the others here. All right, guys, thanks once again for popping in, spending some time with us. I truly hope you are keeping safe and well, and that I'll catch up with you again sometime in the very near future. Bye.